Everyone, I just want to start out the video by saying thank you to everyone that subscribed and everyone that watched the video. It truly means the world to me, and I'm just so happy that I got as many views and as many subscribers as I did last night. I did not think that was going to happen, but it made me want to do a video today and talk about the camera that I use. And there's gonna be two cameras that I'm talking about today. The first camera is the camera that I actually use, and then the second camera is a camera that is very similar to the camera that I use that you could also get. So the camera that I use is the Nikon D3300. It looks like this. Let me take off the lens. So this is just the body. It is a nice like point and shoot. It is a DSLR. I only use DSLRs. I feel like most people do. It is very good. It's a good first camera for someone. This was, I think this was like my third camera, I want to say. I had to do some trial and error, obviously. Like, I got a camera for Christmas one year, like when I first started out, and then I bought another camera, and so I think this is my third camera. Yeah. So I like Nikon the best. If you use Canon, that's good too. Like, I honestly don't think that they're that different. I've just had better luck with Nikon, and I have a bunch of Nikon lenses, and so I don't want to change over to Canon. That's just what I use. But the controls on this are pretty simple. You have your on and off up here. You have your settings. I always have mine on manual, but if you are a beginner and you don't know any controls, you can always just switch over to the green auto, like that. This is where the little line is, so that tells you. You have all different kinds of settings. You have a guide to like look up the controls of your camera. You have portrait mode, you have aperture mode, manual mode, effects. Some of them are like fast moving, some of them are like brighter, things like that, but I always have mine on manual. My nephew came out, so I had to stop for a second, but I always leave mine on manual mode, just like this. But if you aren't ready for manual mode, you have a bunch of other settings that you could use, and I just like manual mode so I can control the settings like the aperture and the shutter speed. And if you don't know what those are, I will make a video on that to help anyone out. But if you're not ready for that, you have a lot of other settings that you could use. So normally when you buy a DSLR, especially at least Nikon, it normally comes with two standard lenses. So I have them here. So we have this one. This one is 18 to 55 millimeters. It comes with an autofocus. I always do the autofocus because you really don't want to do a manual focus, because then you would just constantly be, turning your lens and trying to find the best focus, and that's just not quick and easy, and I find it hard. So let me go on here and look at the aperture, because I'm not 100% sure. So with this one, the lowest aperture is 4.2. So that's not bad. That's, aperture is the blurriness behind you. So the lower the aperture, the foggier it is in the back, or blurry, not really foggy. The blurrier it is in the back. So 4.2, you will get a tiny bit of blur, but not a whole lot. I honestly don't really use that lens a whole lot, but starting out I did, because I had these two lenses and they still make great photos, but since I have other lenses, I use those as well. This is the other lens that it comes with normally. most cameras, it has the autofocus. And if you don't want to do the autofocus, you can just click it over. So it's like right here, A and M, so that means manual. So then you can, I don't know why it's not turning there. But I always have it on autofocus. So this one is 55 to 200 millimeters. So this one goes farther out. This one is more of like my zoom lens, I would say. It's not my zoom lens, but it's more of a zoom lens. So with the first one, you can't really zoom in as much. This one you can zoom in a lot more. And this one with, I know with zooming in, this one has a lower aperture. For some reason I locked it. So this one, oh, this one only has a 4. So I thought it was lower, but it's actually not. So this one's a 4. So this one is it will make the background a tad bit more blurry than the other one. Now, those are the ones that normally come with the camera. You can, with this camera, with any Nikon cameras, you can get any kind of lens as long as it is a DSLR Nikon lens, and you can attach it. So this is the inside. You have like that little mirror. So yeah, this is a very good camera. Let me put a lens back on because I don't want to leave that open. So another option, because this is an older camera, I've had this for a few years, and I looked on Nikon.com and they're actually not selling these particular ones anymore. But you can obviously get them from Amazon. I think I even got that one from Amazon. That one is around the range of $400 to $600 depending on where you get it from, and also if it comes with the lens. On Nikon you can buy the body only for cheaper, but on Amazon it's better to get the whole package than just the body. But on Nikon you can just get the body for cheaper. So the other camera that is basically the same, it like literally is the same, it is about $100 more. So it could be anywhere from $500 to $700 depending on where you get it from, and also if you get the body only or if you get it with lenses or you get it in a kit, things like that. And that is the Nikon D7500. So that one you can buy, sorry my dogs, you can buy the body by itself for cheaper, or you can buy a kit. You can also get it on Amazon, Best Buy, I'm pretty sure Walmart even has it, and Costco. Costco also has cameras, and they have a pretty good deal on cameras, so make sure you check out Costco as well if you were in the market for a camera. So now with the differences of the two, there's really only one difference, and that is how many shots you can get per charge. So with my camera, the D3300, it says 700 shots per charge. Now, I am pretty sure that I have shot more than that. That's what it said in the reviews, but I think I've had a whole day of shooting, and I definitely had more than 700. Maybe I'm like pretty sure that I did do more than 700, but the average is around 700. Now with the D3500, you can get 1,550 shots per charge. So if you are someone that is doing weddings or like events and you are there all day and you know you're gonna be taking more than 700 shots, 800 shots, I would go with the D3500. Just because you don't want to have to worry about that unless you bring an extra charger. I only have one charger. I've never had that kind of issue before, so unless you want to bring an extra charger, you can also do that as well if you want to get the D3300. So with both of these cameras, they're both autofocus, so that's good. Depending on your lens, you can do manual focus, but I suggest, especially if you're starting out, I suggest doing autofocus. It is so much easier. Yeah. So also, both cameras have 24.2 megapixels, and both do 5 frames per second. So in a second, you can do 5 photos. So if you were doing like an action shot, let's say of a dancer doing a leap or a kick or whatever, you can get 5 shots in 1 second. So that's a plus, because I always find myself doing that, like action shots of kids running or a dancer, or like sports. I've shot like snowboarding, baseball, softball, football, track, gymnastics. Yeah, so I've done a bunch of sports, and probably more that I can't even think of. So it's always good to have that, where you can do multiple photos in every second. So that is a good thing to have. Now, with the size of sensor, I'm trying to stay on topic of like just the camera that I use, or the D3500, and try not to get into too much detail about other things and go off into a tangent. But both cameras have the same size sensor. And what that means is, the larger the sensor, the better quality that the photo is going to be, and it's going to give you a better depth of field, it's going to give you brighter colors, just a better quality in general. And both of these have the same. And both of these cameras are like in the medium range of sensor, so there are some cameras that have a larger sensor, and then lower quality cameras that are still good have a lower sensor. So this is like in the middle range. So it's a very good camera starting out if you're on a low budget, if you don't really know much about cameras. It's just all around, these two cameras are very good. There is obviously the D3500 is a little bit more expensive just because it was made newer. I believe the launch date of the D3300 was 2014, 2013, I believe. And then a year later, it was the D3500. So there's lots of people say different things about each camera. And honestly, I think that if a camera was made sooner, it's probably a tiny bit better quality, just because with technology and just like when a company produces a new product, even if it's basically the same, I feel like it's always a little bit better. So I would say that the D3500 is a tad bit better, but honestly, they're really the same. If you're on a tight budget and you want a camera, I would try going for the D3300. If you cannot find it, I would do the D3500. I tried looking for the D3300 online, and there wasn't many that were in the price range that it normally would be, like a Nikon. You do get some people that upcharge on Amazon and things like that. So just be careful, and I would honestly like search around before you just like go on Amazon and like buy the first one that you see, because odds are you're going to find a better deal. And if you can find a better deal with the D3500, then go for that. Or if you like that it was made newer, or that it has 1,550 shots per charge, I would just kind of weigh your options and see which one would be best for you. Now, a lot of the time, the quality of an image is not just the body of a camera, it is also the lens. So you may look at a D3300 with a newer lens, and then you look at a photo with, my camera with a newer lens, and then you look at the D3500 with an older lens, and one that's been used quite a lot, the images of the D3300 might be better than the D3500. It also depends on how often you click this button. So like my camera, I am hopefully within the next couple months, I'm going to get a new camera, which I'm going to make a video on what the camera is and why I want that camera, because I need a new one soon, because I've had this for a few years. You know, the cheaper, like when you get a cheaper camera, like this is not a cheap camera, but it's one of the cheaper ones, and it doesn't last as long as a more expensive camera would be. So I've had this for probably two going on 3 years, and I can already tell that clicking my button, you know, so many times it wears out your camera. And I can just tell, it's hard for me to kind of explain it, but I can just tell when I'm taking pictures that it is getting worn out. So you also have to think about that as well. So if you have a, you know, a savings of money and you can buy this more expensive camera with all of your money, or not use all the money and get a cheaper one, but still good quality, you know, it may only last you a few years. I love this camera, it's my baby. You know, I suggest it to anyone who is looking for a camera, who is starting out or doesn't have thousands of dollars to buy a camera. I think this is a great quality camera. I've built my business with this camera, and this camera continues to give me great pictures. So I do suggest this camera to anyone, or the D3500. The only reason that I'm bringing this up, the D3500, is because if for some reason like this broke and I didn't have money for a more expensive camera, I would purchase the D3500. And it may be hard for people to find the D3300, which is the camera that I have now. So that's why I wanted to do another camera that's only about $100 to $200 more than this camera, just in case you can't find the D3300. So that are the two cameras that I suggest to anyone that is starting out. I love my camera. I have used it so many times. It is still reliable for me, and I absolutely love it. And don't forget that it also depends on the lens. So I hope this video helped someone out. I know when I was in the market for my first camera, I wasn't really sure what camera to get. So I hope that anyone in the market, I helped someone out. And thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Sorry for my loud dogs. And I'll see you guys in the next video.